Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yashai, Bashim Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles, to the elders, great millstone. Peace, love, honors, and salutation to the hopeful elect. Excuse me. So this is the book of Psalms chapter 10. I'm gonna start at verse 2. Well, let me start at 1, but the point is in 2 and 3. It says, why standest thou afar off, O Lord? You know what, Salakia? Actually, let me start off with this. Let me put that there. Save Salakia. Let me start off with this scripture right here. It says, Jeremiah 51 and 1. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And that destroying wind is that thermonuclear missile. You know, that big bomb that, excuse me, that will be the end of all nations on earth. It says, and I will send unto Babylon fanners, and they shall fan them. And that's all these other nations that's gonna bombard Babylon, aka America, with these thermonuclear missiles, with all these warheads. Okay, Russia being one of the main ones, and you know, the European Union as well. They're gonna turn on America. Okay, you can read about that in the book of Obadiah. The men that were confederate with thee have brought thee even to the border. Okay, them that ate that bread shall lay a snare under thee. It says, and I will send unto Babylon fanners, and they shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. Right, all these other nations, they're basically gonna jump America with these missiles, man. Okay, it says, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Right, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. And that archer is going into these missile silos. You can read about that in Job the 20th chapter. All these other nations, you know, basically here, you know, against him that bendeth. Like, it's like a nation talking to another nation saying, oh, you got a missile? Oh, I got one better. It says, and against him that lifted up in his, that is, it's like a him, it's like and him that lifted up himself in his brigadine. Now his brigadine is his armory, you know, his military capability, you know, and that's what, you know, Trump is so high-minded about. I should say Nero is so high-minded about, you know, because the United States have, you know, such how do you say this, such advanced, you know, technology, advanced weaponry, you know, as the reports came out of the weapons that they were using, you know, supersonic weapons they were using in Venezuela to, you know, to kill the guards that was guarding this guy Maduro, you know, which those weapons aren't anything new, because when, you know, they were breaking it down what the weapons were. I remember watching an episode of Future Weapons, you know, years ago, back in the world, back in high school. I used to watch that show a lot. It used to be on the military channel. And I used to watch that constantly, watch that channel, you know, and I ain't never had any intentions on going to the military. You know, I was just intrigued by that channel. And they had it was like a satellite dish, and they had tested it on people. You know, it was like a whole bunch, like a whole bunch of protesters in the, you know, in the test, and they'll single out one person and aim. It could be the whole crowd, and they'll aim that satellite dish type weaponry against that one person, and his skin will start to burn, and everybody else will be totally fine. You know, so they were using weapons like that in Venezuela. Okay, and they showed you that in that second Incredible Hulk movie. You know, when when they were fighting, and then they turned that supersonic weapon on the Hulk. You know, so these are nothing new, man. They've been had these type of weaponry, man. It says, you know, so Trump, you know, Nero, he's boasted himself in this great armory, great weaponry that they have. Okay, it says, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Right, and you could read about this too, you know, in Isaiah the 34th chapter, where the Lord speaks about, excuse me, he has a sacrifice in Basra. Okay, all right. It says, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, aka Babylon, and they that are thrust through in her streets. It says, for Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, nor Judah of his God, the Lord Yahweh of hosts. It says, though their land was filled with sin and a holy against the Holy One of Israel, right? Because the Lord left a remnant. Remember what he told Elijah. You know, there's 7,000 that have not bowed the knees to Baal. The elect was always there, man. The remnant was always there, and that 7,000 was the number of completion. Okay, that 7,000 represented the elect. You know, so this man, you know, he feels like, as the scriptures say, thou thought that I was altogether one as thyself, because you know he's been doing all this atrocities to the sons and the daughters of the nation of Israel. You Negroes, West Indians, you Puerto Ricans, you Mexicans, you know, the 12 tribe chart. You know, Esau's been doing all those atrocities to us, and he's been getting away with it. But guess what? We have not been forsaken, because there's a remnant. Okay? So you keep boasting in your military power, in your military capability, you know, and that's why this man, you know, he's going into other nations and doing whatever he wants, because he has that power right now. Okay? Genesis chapter 27, verse 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven. Now this is going into, we should all know that story of Jacob and Esau. We should all know that story, you know, or that account, I should say. All right, when Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, it says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. That's why Esau, he living so good, and of the dew of heaven from above. It says, and by thy sword shalt thou live. Right, he boasted himself in his brigadine. Okay, he boasted himself in the brigadine. And by thy sword shalt thou live. And the sword is their modern day weapons, man. Guns. The sword is not just speaking about sword, you know, because ain't no army marching with swords, right, with, you know, physical swords right now. They're marching with guns. So the sword is representing his military, his power, his guns, you know, his missiles. Okay, it says, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And this happened already, you know, during the Renaissance era, the rebirth, you know. All right, so by his sword shall he live. This is Revelation 13 and 13. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven. Remember when he dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? You know, that was a wondrous thing. You know, a bomb or a weapon of that capability have not been known unto man yet. All right. It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. All right. So that was it. That's all I wanted there. So let me go here and I'm gonna end it. This is back in Psalms chapter 10, verse 3. It says, let me start at 2. It says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. It's like the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasts of his heart's desire. And it says, for the wicked boasts of his heart's desire. And blesseth the covetousness, whom the Lord Yahweh abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not at all in his thoughts, right? You know. So the wicked, he boasts of his heart's desire, and his heart's desire is what? This new world order. Okay? Going in and conquering other nations. All right? Taking down the regime changes, man, and putting in his puppets. And he boasts about that. Look how they're boasting about the Venezuelan oil. This man then stole the oil and gathered all his rich billionaire friends, in the Black House, and he's telling them like, all right, listen, man, y'all could bid for this, man. Bid for this stolen oil, and it's a spirit because they all backed out. Like, nah, man, we good. Nah, we good, money. But anyway, that was all I wanted on that, man. Lord, when I come back, I'll do a lesson on this entire chapter, actually, which is it's a really good chapter to read. So I'm gonna say all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, to the elders, the great millstone. Peace, love, honors, and salutations to the whole elect. Shalom.